And
9 o'clock. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. As we start a new week in India, and we are on the weekend eve here in US, so I'm always excited to be back after a couple of days break, and I hope the feeling is mutual. I always look forward to it. It's like something is missing, right? When these sessions are not there, but it gives me an opportunity to prepare. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with today's topic of our discussion. So we will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. You're able to see my screen, right?
not right now, Nitinji. You need
But
to
you're
share
not.
your screen.
Yeah, that's because I've not shared my screen yet. Okay.
Kami છે ને ચાલતી નથી એ જ છે ને.
Okay, you may want to mute yourself. All right. Now you're able to see? Okay. Let's
Yes.
start with our opening prayers. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. All right. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. So let's get started. See, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has not wasted any words. And there are certain concepts that he has done punaryukti. He's done repetition, okay, differently. So in 2.47, he introduced the concept of science of work, which is called Karam Yoga. And in these shlokas that we are doing right now, from 418 to 421, he's actually addressing the same concept through different, pretty much the same concept that he's going to talk about. And we will take this opportunity to delve into Karam Yoga, not today, but today we will talk about how he's referring to the same concept in other words. Okay, just to drill down that concept in our head to understand what is action, what is inaction. And during the course of this discussion, of course, we are going to take ourselves deeper into the discussion of Karam Yoga as well, because this is a very, very practical, relevant topic for everybody, no matter what you are doing, whether you are a student, are you in a household life or you are a professional, whatever stage of life you are in. This is a very relevant and a very practical application of this concept in our day-to-day lives. And we would like to take questions that you may have. Hey, if I do this, how is this concept applicable to me, or how best I can utilize it if I'm stuck in this kind of a situation? And we can have a good open discussion around it during our session itself. So let's get started. Today's topic, we'll continue to move forward, march forward. We did 417, now we are on 4.18. So I'm going to recite it and then you're welcome to follow along. And we'll continue on our topic of our discussion, as well as we'll go deeper into the science of work. Okay, it's never enough, and we'll keep on peeling the layers as many as we can during the course of this entire week. So I'm going to recite this shloka and you're welcome to follow along. Karmanya karma yah पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु सयुक्तकृत् सन्कर्मकृत् सयुक्तकृत् सन्कर्मकृत्. All right, hopefully I got the meter right. Let's take a few hands and get this going.
Radhe Radhe SSPG, please go ahead.
Thank you, madam. Radhe Radhe Nitinji.
Radhe Radhe.
Karmanya karmaya pashet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta krishna karma krit.
Very nice, thank you. SSPG. All right, let's take a few more hands.
I would just like to request if you can turn on your videos, that would be great. And especially those who wants to recite, we give preference to those who have their videos on. Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Karmanya karmaya pashyed akarmani cha karmayah sa buddhiman manushyeshu sayukta karmakrit. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Shri Ramya.
Ramesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Good to see you.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृत्. धन्यवाद.
Dhanyavad, Ramesh. Thank you. Okay, let's take a few more hands.
Yes, Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
कर्मण्य कर्म य पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृता.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Let's take the remaining. Freeze our hands and take the last 5.
Falguni ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Karmanye karma ye pashyed akarmani cha karmayah sa buddhiman manushyeshu sa yukta kritsna karma krita. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Falguni ji. All right.
Tarun ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
कर्मण्य कर्मय पश्येत् अकर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृत्.
All right. Thank you, Tarun ji. My last 3 hands.
Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji.
Radhe Radhe, Shyam ji.
राधे राधे. कर्मण्ये कर्म यः पश्येत् कर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्तकृत् सन कर्म कृत. राधे राधे.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe. I have a feeling your special day is very near. It's coming very close by, right?
जी, it's almost there. राधे राधे.
Almost there. We'll talk about it. All right. Let's take the remaining hands and then we move forward.
Radhe Radhe, Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe ji.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Karmanya karmaya pashyed akarmani cha karmayah sabhuddhiman manushyeshu sayukta kritsna karma krita.
Very nice, Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe.
I'm waiting for the blue moon, okay? The day we can see you while reciting as well. So hopefully that's going to happen soon. Look forward to that as well. All right. Go ahead, Sandhya, last but not the least.
Karmanya karma yah pashyet akarmani cha karma yah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krita.
Very nice, thank you. So let's get started. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying that those who see action in inaction and inaction in action are truly wise amongst humans. So he's actually very clearly defining. So this is a very interesting concept. Action in inaction and inaction in action, right? Good choice of word. And then he says they are truly wise. And when God says wise, of course, it is wise. Basically, we have to look at it. Lord Krishna is giving his opinion on what he considers wise. It's not a material, worldly definition of wise that we think, right? We think about somebody is wise. So God is saying they are truly wise. And then we are going to talk about this one. And then he says, although performing all kinds of actions, they are yogis and masters of all their actions. How nice it is. How can you be a master of all of your actions? Whatever action you're doing, you're a master of that, right? So that's what God is going to talk about. So let's get started on this engaging discussion today. Like we always do, we start our 3-course meal with our soup, soul soup. Soul soup, we will keep it related to the topic itself today. I like this quotation I came around. What goes around comes around, right? You would have seen that. That is how it works. Okay, what goes around comes around. And you see, this is how it happens. What goes around, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? You see, this is how it's meant to be. Similar to the material laws that we have, the divine laws, they just work. And they work perfectly. Karma never misses its date. You may miss your date. Karma never misses its date. That is the beauty of this perfect justice dispensing system that we are part of. Okay. And nothing can escape the law of karma. This is not only does it work in this lifetime, but it also works beyond death. Now, one may say, I want to see the results. No, God knows when is the right time or the opportune time to give you or dispense you the result of a particular karma. And it can do a lot of waiting as well. We don't know how it works. I had told about this story of Dhritarashtra, where he had to suffer the misery of losing 100 progeny in front of his eyes. Losing one family member is traumatic, and he lost 100 of them in front of his eyes. And he asked Krishna, and Gandhari had cursed Krishna for that, but he asked Krishna, what has he done to deserve this kind of a fate? So Krishna said, go back one life. He said, I have not seen anything, because he had a boon to go back in previous 3 lives. He said, even go one further. He said, I don't see any reason why I should suffer this fate. Go back another, I don't see why I should suffer this fate. And then he says, Krishna, you can't go back any further, but I am privy to all of your lifetimes. So in 50 lifetimes back, you had killed a lot of swans who were calmly going around in a lake. Okay, you made them blind and killed them. I don't know why. Sometimes people do that, right? If somebody is peaceful, he couldn't take that as a king, he killed them. So he said, if that is the case, why didn't you give me that result in that lifetime only? He said, that's because in order for you to have 100 progeny, not right, 100 of swans, you had to have enough merit, papa punyas. And in next 50 lives, you accrued those punyas. And then you got those 100 sons, and then you had to suffer the same fate like you did. So that is how it works. In fact, there's another story of Mandavi Rishi, right? He was the one who was incorrectly implicated in a theft. So he was a rishi who used to do, he was vide beyond his body, and he was doing his tapasya, and some of the thieves got into his house. And because the stealing contraband or whatever they were carrying that was kept in his house, he was wrongly implicated. So the king's soldiers brought him to the gallows. And the punishment those days was, for this kind of a theft, a whole bhala, what do you call, spear was pierced through his body, and they would bleed to death. Okay, that is what happened. They just put that inside his body. And this sage, then king came and saw that stage of that sage. He thought, you know what, he's a sage. Maybe I've made a mistake. He apologized, but nevertheless, he was beyond the body. So he's left his body. When the body was no longer habitable, he simply left that body. And then when he goes and meets the Yamaraj, he asks Yamaraj, for what sin of mine did you punish me for this? Right? And then the Yamaraj said, there cannot be any mistake. You must have done something. He said, I can't see anything in my past lives. He said, in this very life, when he was a young boy, while playing, we do that. He pierced a stick inside a butterfly, just out of fun, like we do that. He said, you had pierced that through that butterfly, and because of that, you have to meet this fate. So karma never misses its state. So this is how this law works. Now he said, this was something I did when I was young. So I will curse you. You should not count it as part of the karma. I don't know whether the Yamaraj made a amendment to his rules or not, but he cursed him that, you know what, at that time, you should not be counting it against the karma when you are fairly young. Nevertheless, he cursed him, and then that Yamaraj had to come down as Vidur during Mahabharata. So Vidur was an avatar of Yamaraj because of the curse of Mandavi Rishi. The point here is, when such a great sage was not spared, the law of karma, then who are we, ordinary mortals, to escape that? So law of karma never misses its state. That is the key thing, and that is why we are having a discussion on the topic of karma that we are going to talk about: action in action and inaction in action. How do we align our karma to the divine principles, spiritual principles, so that we are not incurring We are not at the receiving end of the karmic reactions, and we can make the karma work in our favor. That is the whole idea. That is why we are going to go really deep into this topic. With that said, let's get started. What is action, inaction, and action, right? A lot of words, action, and you can already start taking notes and screenshots because our quiz masters are going to really test you out on this. Okay, it's a very important concept. All right, so one kind of inaction is this, right? Too bored of the job. Oh my God, I don't feel like working. I need a break, or I need a change. My company does not deserve me, right? So you do inaction, nothing, just passing time. It can happen. One is just run away from the world. One is just lying down on the sofa, right? Doing nothing. Basically, you are like too bored in life, and you says, I will do nothing until I find something interesting. So that these are the different situations we can run into. Let's understand it in perspective, because Bhagavad Gita tells us. See, that is why we say there's a manual, and why you need a manual, so that you don't keep on leading a life in ignorance, because ignorance is not a bliss. Okay. However, one may like to want to think that ignorance is a bliss, but it is truly not. So let's move on and get in deeper into this concept. Now, this guy, it seems to be running from everything in life, right? Bad boss, family troubles, stock market crash, the news is not very supporting, his favorite party is not winning, the politicians are tormenting the country, all that stuff that torments us, right? So you say the world is not worthy of my attention. So now you resort to inaction, where persons look upon their social duties as burdensome and renounce them out of indolence. And the other day we were talking about this concept of Falgu Vairagya, where your hardware, you renounce it from your hardware. The software is not yet ready. Okay, so you simply change your clothes, you run away to forest, or tell people I'm going to go to Vrindavan. If you don't listen to me, if you keep on troubling me, tormenting me, but then your internal change has not happened. And then what happens because of that? You find challenges and trouble there, and then you are neither here nor there, and finally that ganja smoking is what they end up doing. Okay, because the internal peace is still not there, and then they still try to fill it through intoxication and stuff like that. So you're neither here nor there. So that is one kind of a thing, right? The other is where you find your job cumbersome, or you're just lying down too bored in life. Your mind keeps on giving you excuses. This is not interesting, that is not interesting, and you simply resort to idleness and slothness, laziness, inaction. So this is one kind of inaction. Inaction in that sense is a negative connotation to it. If you simply hear this word inaction, of course there's a negative connotation to it, right? So this is one kind of inaction. Let's move on. Now let's understand action and inaction. So you see that is an inaction. They're not performing any action. Somebody's sleeping, somebody's lying down, somebody's not working, just thinking something. So let's understand that there is an action that is also happening in this kind of an inaction. So what is that? Now this guy running away, why? I need a break. I want to go to Hawaii, I want to go to Goa, and I want to do this. The work is too troublesome. Bosses, again, I'll find out a job, or I just want a break from my job. So you're running away from your responsibilities, but in your mind, you're thinking about that next vacation. Okay, something to that effect. So the thought that are going on is also considered as an action. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Basically, not even for a second you can stay without an action. So you are performing action. Okay? Now, what you're thinking, okay, in this case, you're running away and you need a break. So you're running away from your day-to-day duties, responsibilities, and that is one kind of an inaction. In this case, he's lying down and just thinking of his friends, how nice it would be to meet my friends and alumni or whatever that. So there's an action, something. Nobody's lying down, just doing nothing, right? So they're also thinking about something, good times they used to have, and now this job and everything, families after me to get married and all that stuff. Gone are the days when I used to be in college, school, whatever. So people are thinking that is also considered an action. And in this case, the person is not working. They think that they need a better job. So they are not doing justice to their existing job, which is paying for them, right? Putting the food on the table or helping support them. So they resort to inaction in those cases as well. Some people become rebel. They wait for their boss to fire them so that they can get a severance package and do whatever they want to do in life, right? So that is also one kind of an inaction. In US, it is pretty common. So in all the three cases, if you look at it, they give up actions physically. In physically, you may see they're not performing any actions, right? They are just shunning actions. But their mind continues to contemplate upon the objects of the senses. So this is called action in inaction. Even though on the outside, on the exterior, there is no action, there is inaction. But on the inside, a lot of action is happening. So this is called action in inaction. Such persons, they may appear to be inactive, but their lethargic idleness is actually sinful action. God is saying it is called sinful action. Okay. So running away from your responsibilities and procrastinating things or not doing the things that you're supposed to do at that moment, it is called it's sinful. Then it falls into the category of karam, akaram, or vikaram. Anybody can tell that? Conceptual test again. Maybe we can put it as a quiz question. Yes, Tarunji?
Radhe Radhe Tarunji.
One hand will
It's
take.
Vikram. Not doing your prescribed duties, Vikram, in a way.
Yes, it's vikaram. It is sinful action is vikaram. Yeah. So let's move on. Now, inaction or karma. Let's talk about it. Inaction or karma is an important concept too. So here is somebody who is thinking, meditating, okay, supposedly meditating or supposedly doing puja or whatever they are doing. So they are sitting there. It's completely inaction in this case, right? If you look at it from a worldly standpoint, somebody is simply sitting like this. But let's see what's going on in their mind. Okay, mind, what's going on? The mind, what's going on is someone said a bad thing to me. I should pay that person back. Okay, that is one thought that could be coming in that mind, even though you're trying to meditate or doing your sadhana. Somebody did good to me. I like him so much. That person is so nice. Right? Then planning inside as to how to get a better job, better money, etc., etc. So planning goes on inside the mind. Cheshta, prayas, endeavor, effort, thought, planning, all that stuff our mind does. So even though you might be doing inaction, but your mind is actually incurring karmic activities. So karma is not just what you do physically. Okay? Karma is what is going on inside your head. Every thought or action is counted as a karma. And that is why we need to tend to our mind. Our mind is a factory which generates thoughts. And if we have not made it fertile or conducive for good, positive thoughts, then it will keep on generating thoughts, negative thoughts also, random thoughts also. Now, every random thought, negative thought is not a karma. Only those thoughts that you choose to energize becomes a karma. See, God also knows that until we improve the quality of our mind, it will generate a lot of random thoughts. But only when you choose to energize means you are making a choice to keep thinking about it. Then it starts becoming a karma at that point. So it is like this. When you are on a seashore, there are so many waves that will come. Right? The waves come one after another. But you're not obligated to surf each and every one of those. You pick and choose. Are you going to surf this one or are you going to let go of it? Similarly, our mind creates a lot of waves. And you have the ability to actually pick and choose which one you want to surf or not. How would you pick and choose? Through proper knowledge that this thought is not beneficial or uplifting for me. If I'm going to grow weeds in my head, negative thoughts, or I'm going to surf those, then those weeds, like in garden of your house, will bring more of its own kind. So a mind which gets used to thinking negatively will attract more of such things, such energies in life as well. Negative thoughts, first of all, the neural channels will get built because now you are easily getting into that negative trap. Secondly, people generally become pessimistic. Long-term pessimism may even lead to depression, chronic depression, and all those kind of things will start happening. It all starts with a thought. Just starts with a thought. So the karma is happening even though you might be sitting idle. Okay, that's a key thing. There is karmic reaction even in so-called inaction. There is nothing called inaction, to be honest. There is inaction. I'll tell you what is inaction, true inaction. Okay. Now let's understand the story of Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Gauri. Now, Prithviraj Chauhan, he kept on forgiving him, I think 17 times. He came, he was not doing anything. He was basically forgive him every time. Now, was it performing his duty? I mean, some people say it was his large-heartedness and stuff like that. But if you look at it from a big picture standpoint, end of the day, 18th time, when this guy won, he killed him immediately. Immediately, he killed him. And because of that, the whole of his kingdom was exposed to brutality. A lot of bad things happened after that, right? The battle with Muhammad Ghori, what he did and how he plundered and gave an opening and stuff like that. So that may not be actually a good inaction to do, although, I mean, kind of a good choice to make when your duty is to protect your citizens. So those kind of things can happen as well. That is why the other day we were talking about what is good dharma, bad dharma, we don't know. So inaction, basically, you could still be incurring sinful activities, even though it may seem like inaction. I mean, this example is more about, okay, did you perform your duty in that particular context or not? It is not truly inaction, but inaction in sense of, doing the needful in a particular context or the situation, what the situation demands. Now let's move on to the deeper concept here. Now there is another kind of inaction performed by Karam yogis. Now we have spoken about inaction, which is sinful, which Lord Krishna is very clearly saying is sinful. Now let's understand the other kind of inaction, which is actually what we need to be doing on a day-to-day life. This is called the inaction performed by Karam yogis. They execute their social duties without attachment to results, dedicating the fruits of their actions to God. Although engaged in all kind of activities, they are not entangled in karmic reactions. Now this is an important concept. Give me a sec. Okay. Now let's look at some of those examples, because the key thing here is they don't have, when they perform actions, they don't have any personal motive for, personal enjoyment. Let's look at some of the examples. Dhruv, Prithu, Yudhishthir, Prahlad, Amrish, there are too many examples. In more modern contemporary era, people say that, I mean, I don't know if history books or spiritual books are going to write about it. They talk about Lokmanya Tilak also. Some people talk about Modi also, right? So only time and history would tell. And that's not an easy matter to understand, right? Where are we completely doing Karam Yoga or majority part of Karam Yoga or 50-50? It's very difficult to understand. But these are the ones which are documented, well documented by Ved Vyas, right? Some of the people who have actually ruled, and they are known to be Karam Yogis. Now I'll give you an example for them. Yes, Sandeep, you had a question?
Raja Janak was also Videhi. Will
Yeah.
he also be in the same?
Yeah, even Janak for that matter. Yeah, I could have put in here as well. Yes. So Videh is one aspect of it. You don't have to be Videh to be a Karam Yogi. Okay. Point is, Karam Yogi means you are doing Akaram. So Akaram is also called Nishkam Karam Yoga. It means you are dutifully attached to activity made for the pleasure of the... See, it's like this. It is in action. Let me try to make you understand this concept. So all of these people, they discharge their duties as a king. So as a king, you have to do Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, everything. You have to punish the criminals. You have to be very diplomatic. You have to send the spies to the other kingdom to see what they are planning and plotting against you, and do the needful that you need to do from your end to neutralize your opponents. So Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, everything they did. However, the spirit of Karam Yoga says that they are not attached to their actions or the fruit actually. They are just doing it as a matter of their duty for the pleasure of God. Okay, they're not attached to the fruits of their action. Now you will say, how do you know that? I mean, I don't know that, but this is what the scriptures tell us. And I'll tell you the story basically around a quick story just to illustrate this point. So Prahlad Maharaj, I picked up his name here. So Prahlad, we know, right? He's the son of Hiranyakashyap. And he went on to rule for, I think, 10-12,000 years. Okay, that used to be pretty common at those times. And then once what happened, his son, whose name was Virochan, and there was another son of his guru. His guru was Angira. Angira's son was Sudhanva. So both of them, I think they liked the girl. So for that girl, they said whoever is superior has to go for that. So they did their own, kind of a mini swayamvar they set up amongst themselves. So they said, whoever is superior, the other person has to lay his life. So they said, okay, let's lay that bet. So Virochan, who is a Rajkumar, because he's a king, Prahlad's son, he's a natural heir to the throne, so he's Rajkumar. And then Sudhanva, who's Angira's son, he's Rishi Kumar. So they said, who is superior? Whoever is superior is deemed as superior, the other person will lay his life. So I said, okay, game on, bet on. But now the question came, who's going to be the judge? Who's going to determine who amongst these two is superior? Now, the Rishi's son, which is Sudhanva, he says Prahlad. We will go to Prahlad, and whatever he says, we'll go by that. However, Virochan says that Prahlad is my father. You know, if he says you may say that he's biased towards his son. He said no. Prahlad is known to be perfectly just. So whatever he will say will be fair and just only, and we can go with that. So both of them, they go to Prahlad. And they ask, who is superior amongst us? He said, you are Rajkumar, and he is the Guru's position in a state is considered higher than that of a king. So by that, Angira's son, Sudhanva, you are superior. Prahlad told that. And then he said, okay, by the way, the deal was that whoever that has to lay, the other person has to lay his life. So without batting an eyelid, Prahlad said, take my son to the gallows to chop off his head, basically. He did not, grieve or start saying, oh my God, my son, or I take my word back. Nothing. He said, yeah, take him to the gallows. Just look at his attitude towards this whole thing. Take him to the gallows. Okay, nothing, no emotion whatsoever. So although he was a king, so let's understand, what is Karam Yoga. You are not attached to the results. You are simply doing your duty. What is supposed to be done? Not attached to anything, just doing it as a matter of duty. So when he was asked to be taken to the gallows, then this guy intervened. He said, okay, now Sudhanva says, he asked Prahlad, who amongst you and me is more superior? He said, of course, you. Then he said, then you have to obey my wish. Do not take him to gallows, spare him. Okay, it's my command. So Prahlad, without getting excited or happy that, oh, thank God, my son is saved now, without batting an eye, he said, okay, don't take him to the gallows. He was equally disinterested, whether he has to send his son or his son is spared. Completely dispassionate about it, right? So this is how these kings, they actually led when they were working. Okay, for all the period, they were least interested in the results, not least interested, I mean, they were completely detached to that part. So they are documented, well documented as Karam Yogis, so that we can understand how they operate. They do the needful, they do the dutiful, they don't run away from their duties, but they do it as a matter of duty for the pleasure of God. And that is what Karam Yoga is. We'll get deeper into this concept, but this was more of an introduction to this concept. Okay. Now moving on, let's understand in Bhagavad Gita what is happening. Okay. And before I open it up for any questions, Lord Krishna is telling Arjun, what is he telling Arjun? Arjun, don't fight the war. Is he telling him that? Anybody? No, he's not telling him that. Don't do it. Don't fight the war, don't do it. That means you fight the war, right? Then he says, Arjun, fight the war. And yet, don't do it. Okay? This is the question. Now, what does it mean? He's saying, don't fight the war. And then he's saying, don't do it. And then saying, fight the war, don't do it. So how do I fight the war and not do it, and not fight the war, not do it, kind of a deal? That's a conundrum that we are going to solve. Yes, I see one hand raised, Ashutosh, or somebody raised it.
Yeah, there's a message that is sent by Ashutosh ji. Should I read it?
Sure, go ahead.
और द्वार जाओ ना अनन्य बनो बामा त्रिगुण त्रिताप त्रिकर्म काटे श्यामा. We should not go to many doors. Instead, focus on surrendering to Sri Radha. Trigun, Tritap, Trikarm, all will be vanished as we will surrender to Sri Radha.
Very nice, very true. We'll get into the concept of surrender. See how Karam Yoga, surrender, grace, faith, love, how do they converge? We are going to talk about it in the upcoming sessions. Okay, all that stuff will all come together. So you might be hearing all these buzzwords in spirituality, and then you might be wondering, what does it mean? What does surrender mean? What is grace? And how do I get to Karam Yoga? And how does this whole fit in together? We'll try to put all the pieces together in the upcoming sessions. Okay. But in this particular case, if you look at it, he's asking Arjun, don't fight the war, right? If you don't fight the war, then he's saying you are going to incur sin. That will be Vikaram. And if you fight the war, that also you don't need to do, because then if you're fighting it, for your own sake or for the kingdom, then also that's not something else. So go beyond Pap and Punya is essentially what God is saying. And that is where the philosophy of Karam Yoga will come in. So Arjun fought the war, and yet he did not fight the war. This is the key thing. And that is why he did not incur any binding karma. He fought the war, and yet he did not fight the war. Because in God's account books, it was a multiplication with zero that Arjun did. And that is what we will talk about in greater detail during the discussion of Karam Yoga. Tomorrow, by the way, we are going to discuss what is the secret formula of becoming like God. It's just very simple, straightforward formula. God says, if you follow this, you will become like me. We'll talk about that tomorrow, and that will be our gateway or stepping stone to the broader discussion on Karam Yoga that we are going to talk about. All right, I'll open it up for any questions that you have. Anybody may have on this topic. Pin drop silence. I just heard a pin drop from somewhere. Okay, who did that? I don't know. I don't know too much of philosophy, but it's an important concept, right? Karam Yoga.
Okay, let me unmute. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Okay, yes.
That was the quickest guest entry that I've ever seen. So. Okay.
Shilpa ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe, Nitin sir. So, this slide, is this what action through inaction means? That Arjun did action through inaction?
True. Now let me tell you a story. So Arjun, what he did was, it was inaction in action. Okay. What we need to refrain from is action in inaction is sinful. Inaction in action is good. Okay. So in that case, he did an action by performing the war, but
Yes.
he did an inaction because it was not motivated for his personal desire.
Yes.
Okay. That makes the whole.
Yeah. Okay. So his action was for God, not for himself, and that's where the inaction comes in.
Very true.
Okay.
Exactly. When you do it for the pleasure of God, you are basically not doing a binding karma. You are not putting a one before all the zeros. Now I'll tell you a story. Another story of, I think, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, when he was fighting the battle. He was fighting the battle, I believe, against Mughals, and the person whom he was fighting with was, after a long stretched battle, this other guy was at his mercy. His sword flew out of his hand, and just when he was about to kill him like this guy spit back at him. He spit back at his face. And what would a normal person do? He'll become even more angry and accelerate that killing, right? But he did something completely different. He just walked away from that side. And somebody asked him, why did he do that? He said, previously I was fighting him as a matter of duty. But the moment he spit back at me, I became enraged with anger. And if I had killed him in that sentiment, I would have incurred a big sin. So you see, the consciousness in which you operate actually matters. And that's precisely what Arjun was doing. He was not doing it as a matter of venting out his anger, vengeance, or something for his own thing, that I'll become a king and I'm going to enjoy, He was doing it as a matter of duty because he was surrendered to Krishna after listening to the entire Bhagavad Gita thing. He understood the science of work, and he was operating with the sole motive of doing the needful for the pleasure of God, and that made the whole difference. And that is essentially what Lord Krishna is telling us as well. from karam bhogi become karam yogi. We are karam bhogi right now. We'll talk about that topic. We are karam bhogi, but we have to become karam yogi. And karam yoga is the stepping stone for us actually to go towards liberation and beyond. There's no other way actually to break this matrix other than practicing karam yoga. And karam yoga, when we'll go really deep into it, is actually such a wonderful tool Lord Krishna has given us that will help us build the continuity that is needed, consistency that is needed to build that consciousness. Because we are so conditioned and attuned to do things for our own sake. Gradually, when we start doing away with that consciousness and start building that consciousness that I'm doing it for the pleasure of God, and then my potential becomes unlimited, then you see the tremendous difference it will start making in our lives. That is essentially what God is talking about. We'll go really deep into this topic. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. How to see inaction in inaction? Like, how would that be considered?
Action and inaction, that's a good combination, right? So somebody is not doing anything, and yet he's doing things for the pleasure of, I know inaction would be when you are meditating, I guess, right? Maybe when you are doing group dhyan, that is also an action, but inaction because now it is dovetailed towards God, right? So externally also you're not doing action, internally you are not doing action. That is sadhana basically.
So so comparing inaction in inaction with inaction in action, they will be considered at the same level, right? Because it's just the mental thing that matters.
Makeup is same, both the cases. In fact, inaction will be more closer to the karam sannyas because now you renounce
Right.
the external work also, right? So external work is also, yes, in both the cases, your internal state of mind is the same. So inaction is critical. Inaction from inside is critical. From outside, it can
Doesn't
be
matter.
other, yeah, doesn't matter. Yes.
Yes, Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe.
Guys, understood this concept because I'm very sure it will come in quiz. Okay, so Kahoot movement. Yes, Rahul.
So if somebody is sleeping and then dreaming about Radha Krishna's different leelas, then probably that is also inaction in inaction.
Sleeping and dreaming, yeah, true. Right. Anything that is dovetailed towards God becomes inaction at that point, right? See that when we dovetail towards God, it's like putting things to fire. The thing has to become pure, right? Like Ramakrishna Paramhans had said, whether you jump into an Amrit Kund, whether you slip into a Amrit Kund, or somebody pushes you into an Amrit Kund, right? In either case, you will gain the benefit of getting put into the Amrit Kund, right? Or you eat wish forcefully or choice by choice, or somebody wish will do its job. Similarly, however, yen kane prakarin, we take our mind to God, it will do its trick because God is all pure. So, however, you force yourself to take your mind, and it will still do its trick. Right? So then there was a guy who said, I keep on taking God's name for last 18 years. I've been taking Ram, nothing has happened. So his Guruji says, really? He said, yeah, nothing has happened. I've been taking that name for the last 18 years. He said, okay, let me tell you one thing. Till tomorrow, do one thing. I'm your Guru, right? Can you give me your life? He said, yeah, I can give you my life as well. He said, then obey this order. He said that you don't take Ram's name for the next 24 hours. He said, take my life, but I can't do that anymore. Okay. He said, that's what you have gained, right? So the name, it will do its trick. You cannot leave it once you start getting habituated to it. That is the kind of power God's name and remembrance has over us. We may not be able to appreciate it immediately, but the effect is still happening. We don't know it is still happening. It is doing its job quietly, and before you realize it, you would have come very far away from where you had started. Your baseline itself is changing. I thought I saw Jyotiji's hand as well. Jyoti, you wanted to add something? Please go ahead. And then Arnima, go ahead.
Yeah, also there's a question in chat from Kumarji. What is action in action?
What is action in action? Huh? Action in
So all
action.
sorts of combinations are being
Action in action is typically what we are doing throughout our lives. Rajasic karma or sattvic karma or tamasic karma, it's action in action. Now, depending upon the kind of action it is happening on inside, that will give you the results. Action in action, we all are doing every moment. That is basically the reason of all the binding karma that we are doing. So this concept was more to introduce, don't go by external inaction alone. What is going on your inside in your head is also counted as an action or your karma. That is what Lord Krishna is saying. Action in action, we are already doing, always doing. It's only when we make that inner action as inaction, then it will become karma yoga. And because we are doing action in action, we love a lot of action. That is why we are repeating here, right? God says start making it in action from inside. Yes, Tarunji, Arnima, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Arnima, can you re-raise the
See,
hand?
the rule here is once you raise your hand, you're not allowed to go back. Okay, so Jyotiji, you have to come back and
Yeah,
say something.
Jyoti as well. Okay, Jyoti is raised. Radhe
Yes.
Radhe Jyoti, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I raised my hand when Sandhya asked about the inaction in inaction theory. And Sri Krishna has always said that you cannot remain without acting. Whether Arjun fought the battle or he did not fight the battle, both were actions. Him not fighting the battle was not considered as inaction. So
True.
I mean, as living entities in this world, there is no inaction in our actions. I hope I'm not confusing you more, Sandhya, but even when we do the prayers, if we are doing meditation, even that is an action. The time that we spend, because we are at that point we are trying to connect with God, that is our motive. Whether we do it for his pleasure or our pleasure, it doesn't matter. So I was thinking along the aspect of there is no inaction ever in our actions.
So,
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Everything
yeah,
is an action, but I think God has qualified that action as an inaction because he does not log it as a binding karma in our log books. So he says that particular action that you do for my pleasure, that's an action for sure, but I'll multiply it with 0. That doesn't karma. So that's
that part is true. And whenever we do anything as being his his instruments, and we allow our his will to be our will, it becomes inaction.
very true. That is
Radhe Radhe.
very nice.
Thank you,
so
Radhe
much.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Jyoti.
Arnima, if she wants to.
Yeah, she can come back again. Maybe Nivan has taken her attention. Yes, Tarunji, please go ahead.
Okay, Tarunji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Just wanted to say that this table seems to be getting complicated. The main thing is, Nitin, you said, the karam bandhan or the reaction free work. That is I think the key concept to understand, rather than getting into the action reaction. Also, anything where the karam bandhan is not there or reaction is not there is the key thing. So reaction free work is the only thing to be understood.
Reaction.
Anything which don't give karma bandhan is good.
You can simplify it in your head. That's true. Anything that you are multiplying with 0 is karma yoga. Anything that is giving you some kind of a result or a reaction is binding karma. But anything that you do for the pleasure of God becomes karma yoga. Anything that you do with the motivation of enjoying yourself becomes a binding karma. Very simple concept. Motivation behind it, that particular act determines it. Thank you. Yes, Shwetaji.
Radhe Radhe Shwetaji.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe everyone. I have a question, Nitinji. When you said when we are doing sadhana, meditation and all that, isn't that supposed to be a sattvic karma? I mean, whether you do it selflessly or not, God still gives you the results of those, right? I mean, you get the fruits of those karmas. So how is it a karma yoga? Can you please explain? Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
True. So it can be sattvic, it could be tamasic, it should be rajasic, and it could be nirguna or gunatit or transcendental. It really depends on the thoughts that you're bringing or the simulation that you're running in your mind at that point. Okay, it could be sattvic if you're basically thinking about noble things, not bringing God into the mix. Whenever you bring God into the mix and you're not asking for things and stuff like that, it becomes nirguna or transcendental at that point. Now, even otherwise, whenever you bring God into the mix, it is transcendental. But if you're simply focusing on your breath, right, then it's a sattvic activity. At least you're calming your mind and engaging your mind in something, neutral. It could be sattvic in that mood. But whenever you bring God into the mix, it becomes nirguna or transcendental. Okay, so that is why it becomes yoga at that point. Whenever you try to simulate it, that you are actually doing it for God, or we haven't seen God, right? But there are, the Dhut Dhyan technique actually says, okay, whatever image comes to your mind, go with that. Think about the Leelas, think about his wonderful qualities, anything related to God. Then it is called transcendental meditation at that point. So when you bring God into the mix, it becomes yoga. If you don't bring God into the mix, you're just having noble thoughts, or you're trying to simply calm your mind, it could be in sattvic zone. So it really depends on what you're doing at that point. I hope that answers the question, Shwetaji.
I think you did answer her. She gave that reaction.
This is a quick acknowledgement. Thank you.
Can we announce about the events as well as the
Make
seva?
a few announcements, and also about the seva, upcoming seva presentations that are coming up. And we do need some participants for one of the teams, I guess. So let's announce anyways, but we'll check it out.
Seva scores. We also need to share last week's seva scores and see if, things are like before or
Yes,
up and down.
let's go ahead with our announcements, including the retreats that's coming up from September 2nd to September 4th. Please do come. It's going to be an awesome retreat. We're going to have a great time here with Swamiji, and so many wonderful events that are planned, including Janmashtami during that time period. And then we are going to celebrate the birthday of the Brahmanda Nayak, Lord Krishna, in our sessions, starting with, I believe, enthusiastic team on 27th. So we all are eagerly looking forward to those presentations, how we are going to celebrate the birthday of Kanha. Okay, it's a grand occasion. So all teams, I hope you are all geared up and started working towards it. So really excited for that. And then, of course, there's another big occasion, I think tomorrow, that is Shyamji's birthday. So happy birthday in advance, Shyamji. Before we start making announcements, we'll talk about it a little more. Yes. So happy birthday in advance, Shyamji. We have not forgotten it this time. Okay.
As per India, it has already started, Nitinji.
Already started, so happy birthday. Oh, yes. Pardon my happy birthday, Shyamji. Many happy returns of the day.
Happy birthday, Shyamji. And I actually wanted to check this. What fraction of people are aware of the retreat? Like maybe if we could just have a show of hands so that
if you're aware of the retreat, have you heard about it, know about it? Okay.
So that, like people should also know that you can attend it online. So ideally, if like there are 80 people here, all of them can theoretically attend the retreat.
You all can actually take benefit from the comforts of your home. The whole retreat experience, you can enjoy it from the comforts of your home, all the kirtans and all fun events that happen. So please do take that opportunity and do register for it if not already.
Yeah, as many like hardly 10, 12 people have raised hands. So it looks like
You can
even
make that explain what it is, and then maybe people can take.
yeah, so I've shared it in the chat as well. This is a spiritual retreat, a 3-day long retreat, in which Swami Mukundanandji will be himself conducting that, where we will learn how to meditate, how to do Roop Dhyan, how to do bhajan, satsang, kirtan, yoga, a holistic lifestyle, and also, of course, we will have amazing lectures by Swamiji.
I think it's for Gita only, I guess, this time around, probably. And then, regardless, either it's going to be on Bhakti Shatak or Bhagavad Gita, but those lectures are amazing, and Kirtan experience is like you don't want to get out of it, and people actually cry. Okay, they don't want to get out of that retreat. That is how blissful it is. So please check it out and do make it a priority if you can make it to any of these retreats here in India, in US or in India, either way. Just make it a priority to attend one of the retreats. It will change your life forever. Okay, go ahead.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for those who raised their hands and showed that they are already aware of it.
Just
So
put the feedback tracker as well so that people can put in their questions related to Karma Yoga that we can keep on taking in all the sessions. See, we are going to spend 3-4 sessions on this topic only. So if you have any questions, particular situation, you can put it in. We can keep it anonymous and just announce that this kind of a situation, Mr. X or Mr. Y is facing. How do we deal with it in applying the principles of Karma Yoga? Okay. So feel free to do that because we want to really make it very practical. How do we apply it? Okay, this is a situation. How do we apply Karma Yoga in this kind of a situation? Just tell us that. So that's how we will spend over next week or so. So please put in your feedback tracker and anything that you want to discuss in particular as well.
yeah, so all the relevant links have been shared. Please check the chat and do the needful. Meenuji has raised hand, and after her we can do the Seva scoreboard sharing with you.
Sure. So after that we can do that. Yes, Meenuji.
Oh, okay.
No, it was from before. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. No problem. Okay, so Manish ji has now raised hand. Okay, Radhe Radhe Manish ji.
Radhe Radhe. I just put it in the chat to you as well, Santeji. Is the online registration open yet or not yet for the retreat?
I haven't checked it today, but maybe you can check, and if it is not, we can see.
Okay.
It might open a week before. Usually that's when it opens, but
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So next week probably, right?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start sharing the Seva scoreboard and let's see how are we doing there.
Sure.
Can you see the screen, Nitinji?
Yes, I can see that. Wow. Yes.
Okay. Scores are of course different than what we saw earlier. But again, Ananya team is on the top with 5,000 scores in just 1 week. And then enthusiastic, selfless, Vinamra, all of them are pretty active. So congratulations. And looking at the members.
Anita ji scored close to 5,000 points. That's pretty amazing. So Anita ji, we look forward to your participation in the Leela as well. I think we should give points for that as well to each of the teams, depending upon the amount of effort that they put in. But yeah,
and I think Leela will carry a lot of weightage because that's like a presentation, right? So it takes in a lot of effort as well from everybody. So
that's pretty amazing. 5,000 points. You are clear of others by a long margin. I would say that's amazing.
Amazing. So yeah, so I'll just quickly take the names of people who are leading in different aspects of Sevas. For likes, it's Kavita,
Shyamji,
huh?
You see Shyamji's name finally come up.
Yeah, Shyamji is like just after Kavita, like so selfless team torch bearer.
Wonderful.
And then shares Anita ji, as we can see, great scores. Comments Rahul ji. So I think enthusiastic team, I see a lot of orange here in many bar graphs. Comments Rahul ji, community portal Sham ji, wonderful. And Sumanta ji is also quite active. So Vinamra team, and yeah, all the 4 team representatives are there everywhere.
That's very nice. It's wonderful.
Great.
People coming in and then not only doing the liking, sharing, commenting, but also putting in their scores on time. So very nice. Thank you everybody for all the wonderful work. See, this is our little way to help Swamiji and his mission, right? He does so much stuff tirelessly for us throughout the year. And if we can simply share, it can go a long way. It's a very small seva. It's a very small thing we're trying to do for him in that sense, right? So the more we can do, the more people who can do that will go a long way. Great.
Yeah, and content creation also Kavita was on the top. So I see enthusiastic team is being quite enthusiastic, and Ananya team is maintaining its position.
Kavita's real name is Chicky, right? I mean, I don't know why we keep on calling her Kavita.
She comes here with Kavita Singh. No, I get confused, Nitinji. She should come here with Chikki. Then it gets easier. Okay, morning. Yeah.
Kavita? Yes, Monica ji.
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I think Anita ji has actually grown over scoring and stuff, right? So her score should be divided amongst all the teams. Right?
That's a good idea, actually. Anita ji,
Shyamji is all happy with this proposition, it seems.
Right. And also, how many points for actually planning Krishna Leela or any kind of Leela,
Yeah.
I mean,
Announce that later, no? You want to know that right away.
We'll do that.
no, not for the presentation. The one that we'll be doing, right? Because that is also time consuming.
The
Yes.
temple
That is also
Krishna.
commitment. Yeah.
10x or 20x kind of a factor will come up with that, but definitely you'll get credit because that's a lot of hard work. And I
Lot
think
of hours also. It's actually take more hours than you could actually give here. I mean, just saying, because it is that it comes like once a year, like that. Or
I think we'll figure out a factor for that, but yeah, you should get credit for that. That's a lot of work, I can imagine. So for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Birthday boy had also raised hand.
Ramji, so you wanted to say something on the special occasion of when you took Avatar, I think how many? Close to 50 years back.
कैसी बात कर रही हैं आप? मैं अवतार में एक आम इंसान हूँ, तुच्छ प्राणी हूँ। मैं इतना कहता जैसे मोनिका कह रही थी अनीता जी के बारे में, उनको हम एक साइड कर देते हैं, लेट हर हैव वन अलोन ग्रुप ऑफ हरसेल्फ एंड देन ऑल अदर ग्रुप्स आर वन, बिकॉज शी इज वे बियॉन्ड आवर रीच। हम उसके पास तो शायद कभी पहुंच नहीं पाएंगे। और रिगार्डिंग दिस लीला, आई गेस जो हमारी टीम्स है ना, दे आर डिवाइडेड अमंग इंडिया एंड यूएस, तो हम लोगों का मैच नहीं पाता है कि वन टाइम वी कैन कनेक्ट टुगेदर। सो उसके लिए हाउ डू वी डू दैट, बिकॉज जो हमारी टीम है उसमें शायद सभी लोग यूएस के हैं, सिर्फ मैं और शिफाली है जो इस देश में रहते हैं, बाकी इट्स डिफिकल्ट टू कोऑर्डिनेट कनेक्ट बिकॉज ऑफ टाइम डिफरेंस। सो उसके लिए हम लोग नहीं कर पाते कुछ।
Where there is a will, there is a way. So
मोनिका जी ऐसा ही कुछ कह रही है लग रहा है।
lot of people in US and India, they keep talking and connecting to each other. I'm pretty sure there. So find out. See, we are connecting right now. So maybe during, after, before the session, something like that, you can work out.
Maybe I'll try again.
We'll try.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you'll make it work, Shyamji.
It has to work. There's no other option, no other way out.
No other option. See, Krishna's birthday is non-negotiable. Okay, we have to do something. It is like mandatory for all of us. So I'm sure you'll make it work. And happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, Shyamji.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you so much.
Great. So with that, we can move on to our last segment, which is our devotional segment, which is the dessert after our soup and the appetizer and the main course. You're welcome to stay back. And we have people who have already, I think I see one hand already raised, Sandhya. Anybody else who wants to sing today? You can make up your mind, but until then, let's get started with Sandhya, and time permitting, I can also recite something as well. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Yeah, just... Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. Beautiful picture as well.
I love this picture. Not created by me, but by our amazing team of JK Oak. So
very nice.
So this bhajan I just came across recently and I really liked it. So I'll just sing it. I don't have English translation here, but just the bhajan here right now. जो करते रहोगे भजन धीरे धीरे तो मिल जाएगा वो सजन धीरे धीरे जो करते रहोगे भजन धीरे धीरे तो मिल जाएगा वो सजन धीरे धीरे अगर उनसे मिलने की दिल में तमन्ना, अगर उनसे मिलने की, दिल में तमन्ना, अगर उनसे मिलने की, दिल में तमन्ना, करो शुद्ध अंतः करण धीरे धीरे, जो करते रहोगे भजन धीरे धीरे, तो मिल जाएगा वो सजन धीरे धीरे। कोई काम दुनिया में मुश्किल नहीं है, कोई काम दुनिया में मुश्किल नहीं है, जो करते रहोगे यतन धीरे धीरे, जो करते रहोगे भजन धीरे धीरे, तो मिल जाएगा वो सजन धीरे धीरे। करो प्रेम भक्ति सेवा हरि की, करो प्रेम से भक्ति सेवा हरि की, करो प्रेम से भक्ति पूजा हरि की, करो प्रेम से भक्ति पूजा हरि की, तो मिल जाएगा वो रतन धीरे धीरे, जो करते रहोगे भजन धीरे धीरे, तो मिल जाएगा वो सजन धीरे धीरे, जो करते रहोगे भजन धीरे धीरे, तो मिल जाएगा वो सजन धीरे धीरे। Done.
Wonderful. Where did you get this bhajan from, Sandhya?
Actually, my mom had shared it and I just watched it and I loved it and I thought
Wonderful. Very nice. Beautiful bhajan. Thank you so much for bringing it to the session and love the rendition. All right, Chiki, are you all set then?
Yes. Radhe Radhe everyone. Radhe Radhe Bhaiya.
Go ahead.
So this kavita is by Kavita Singh. Okay. बहुत सारी सखियां खेल रही होती है, उनमें से एक सखी होती है जो अपने गुरु को बहुत मानती है और वो हरि भक्ति होती है। तो उसकी सखियां उसे आके पूछती है, ना कुछ कहती हो, ना कुछ कहती हो ना खेलती हो, सारा दिन बस कुछ लिखती रहती हो, क्या लिखा है हमें भी सुनाओ, अपने गुरु का नाम हमें भी बताओ। तो कविता उन्हें कविता गा के सुनाती है। जब जीवन में अंधेरा छाया, क्या करना कुछ समझ न आया, तब जिसने ज्ञान का दीप जलाया, वो मेरा गुरु बन के नया सवेरा आया। न डगमगाने दिए कदम, कभी ना भटकने दिया मन, वो हमेशा हाथ थामे खड़ा रहा जैसे पार्क का हाथ थामे मोहन। फिर सखियां उसे कहती है, तुमने जो कहा हमने सब माना, पर गुरु के माध्यम से तुम्हें कैसे मिले कान्हा, हमने तो बचपन से माता पिता को ही अपना गुरु जाना। तो कविता उन्हें कहती है, वो इच्छा अगर कान्हा को पाना है, पर समझना आए किस दिशा जाना है, तो गुरु के पद चिन्ह पर बस चलते जाना, वो ले जाएंगे तुम्हें वहां जहां हर तरफ होंगे कान्हा ही कान्हा। है सच, माता पिता है पहले गुरु, उन्हीं ने गोविंद बतायो, पर कृपा का हाथ सर पर रख गुरु ने ही तो गोविंद मिलायो। अब जिसने मेरा मार्गदर्शन करवाया, अभी तो बस उनका परिचय बताया, अब जिसके मैं दिन रात गुन गाऊं, आओ तुम्हें उनका नाम सुनाऊं। जो होए दर्शन एक बार दूजी ना कोई इच्छा जगे, जो होए दर्शन एक बार दूजी ना कोई इच्छा जगे, उन्हें गुरु कहूं या गोविंद, दोनों ही उनमें दिखे। और है ऊंचा कद घुंघराले बाल, बच्चों संग है बाल गोपाल, है शांत स्वभाव और उच्च विचार, जब हंसे तो झूम उठे संसार, है मस्तक पर राधा कृष्ण को धारे, अब तो उनके चरण कमल में ही है धाम हमारे, है मुस्कुराते तो गोलोक में भी छा जाता आनंद।
You can do it. You can do it.
मेरे गुरु का नाम है स्वामी मुकुंदानंद।
Oh my God. See, one of these days you'll be able to pull it off without crying, but it was good actually. I heard this on SMX as well, so that is very sweet of you. Loved it, and thank you for bringing it to our session as well, Chiki. Kavita, popularly known as Chiki. Very nice composition. Thank you. Loved it.
Excellent. Beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you, Vicky. And this way you have introduced Swamiji to everybody here. And you know, this is like best for people to come and attend retreat and actually experience it themselves, right? Thank you, Chiki.
Kavita, Chiki. Beautiful. See,
And
this,
yeah, just to reiterate, she has written each and every line of this poem by herself, like very, very original Kavita by Kavita herself.
yep. It's called Outpour of Our Own Soul, right? So beautiful. Loved it.
Heart
Alright.
from the birthday boy as well.
Okay. After Kavita's thing, I don't think we should be talking or saying anything. So very nice, Kavita. Thank you so much. So with that, let's wrap.
Kavita, there's a request if you can share your poem on the community portal.
Community portal, हाँ I'll do that after the session.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot more people will be able to read, reread, and get benefited.
Very nice. Yes. Great. What else? Are we done then?
नितिन जी, आप गाने वाले थे?
After Kavita, I don't think we need to do anything, right? Let's keep it that way only. Or you want me to lighten the thing, then I can sing, okay?
You will add to what she did. I think it will be even beautiful.
Okay, let me sing a couple of lines then to wrap up the session. So, okay. रघुराज कहें यदुराज कहें, तुम रूप अनूप दिखाते हो। रघुराज कहें यदुराज कहें, तुम रूप अनूप दिखाते हो। कभी धनुष बाण धरि आते हो, कभी वंशी मधुर बजाते हो। कभी धनुष बाण धरि आते हो, कभी वंशी मधुर बजाते हो। जय जय राम राम राम, जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम। जय जय राम राम राम, जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम। कभी तीर चलाते हाथों से, कभी नैनन तीर चलाते हो। कभी तीर चलाते हाथों से, कभी नैनन तीर चलाते हो। कभी छाछ मांगते ग्वालिन से, कभी शबरी के फल खाते हो। जय जय राम राम राम, जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम। जय जय राम राम राम, जय जय श्याम श्याम श्याम। All right. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of another engaging session with all of you. Thank you for turning up with so much of enthusiasm, so much of positive energy. It's the best time of the day, I must say that. And another week. And this week we will get into the depths, deeper and deeper depths of Karam Yoga. I'm looking forward to these engaging sessions. If you have friends and people who have always harbored ambitions or aspirations to read Bhagavad Gita, tell them to join now. Okay, it's one thing that they would like to know is Karam Yoga. Get them on board. It's going to be a fascinating upcoming sessions that we are going to talk about. So thank you, everybody. Swatiji, you wanted to say something?
Also, Nitinji, I was just thinking if you, at the end, if we could just unmute everybody and whoever wants to wish Shyamji happy birthday, we could wish together.
Yeah, that will be nice, actually. So that is after. Swatiji, you wanted to say something, or you wanted to just say happy birthday?
Yeah, and there's a question in the chat. Is this session every day? Yes, Monday to Friday for India, and
yeah, go ahead.
Sunday to Thursday as per US.
It's every day, yes. Monday to Friday if you are in India. And if you want to announce your name, you can put in feedback tracker and I can let you know more details, resources and other things as well. But yes, it's pretty much every day of the week.
Swatiji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I just wanted to sing 2 lines because this is Shravan Mahina and Jula Leelan of Radha Krishna. So I like sing 2-3 lines. कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी झूले राधा प्यारी झूलावे बनवारी झूले राधा प्यारी झूलावे बनवारी कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी गावे ब्रज नारी दे दे कर तारी गावे ब्रज नारी दे कर तारी कुंज बिहारी बोले बलिहारी कुंज बिहारी बोले बलिहारी कदम की डारी झूले राधा प्यारी थैंक यू राधे राधे
Thank you. Short
and happy birthday, Shyamji. Yeah.
Thank you, like always. Thank you so much, Swatiji. All right, we can unmute everybody. And Shyamji, we will make your day today.
Ask all to unmute.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Shyamji.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Shyamji. Radhe Radhe.
Birthday, Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Happy birthday, Shyamji.
Happy birthday, Shyamji.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Shyamji.
birthday. Happy birthday, Shyamji.
आपके लिए
Happy
बैकग्राउंड
birthday,
बदल दिया.
Shyamji.
अरे वाह,
Happy
बैकग्राउंड
birthday,
बना दिया आपकी
Shyamji.
गिरावट
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
Shyamji.
Shyamji.
Happy birthday.
टीम इंथुजियास्टिक आपको पूरा एकदम बर्थडे विश अच्छे से कर देगी सब बदल
Happy birthday to you.
To you.
Happy
Happy
birthday to
birthday to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday, dear
dear
Happy
Shyamji.
birthday to
Shyamji.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday
All the
birthday
team.
to
to
you.
you.
No words, no words.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Shyamji is our very first participant right from day one when we started. And I have seen every single day. Till I think one of his dentists, he kept on email, but he's been a very regular return. So thank you so much, Shyamji. It's wonderful to know you. And I still fondly remember the meeting that we had and the trip that we took together. So I look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, awesome. Happy birthday once again, Shyamji. And
Happy birthday, Shyamji.
Shyamji freeze हो गए पता है?
I know.
सच में please.
इतना केक खिलाएंगे तो फ्रीज हो जाएंगे.
अरे वो चले गए, आ गए. हाँ.
Power went off. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Power went off. Okay.
Daily. So thank you so much. Really overwhelmed and just thank you so much. Speechless.
And thank you for having the birthday, Shyamji. Otherwise, how would have we wished you, right? You gave us an opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right.
जी हैप्पी बर्थडे. आप इस ग्रुप में इंजन की तरह से हैं. आपको इतनी सारी पावर मिली है और आप इस ग्रुप को आगे तक बढ़ाते जाएंगे. ये मेरी शुभकामनाएं हैं.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
आज आज ये पहली बार ब्रेक थ्रू हुआ है इस ग्रुप के अंदर, सभी लोग बोल पा रहे हैं एक साथ साइमल्टेनियसली. दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ
जी
यू. क्रेडिट गोज टू यू
same.
ओनली.
अजीत जी
जी,
कैसे बात
once
कर रहे हैं
again,
आप? थैंक यू सो मच.
thank you.
इट्स
Thank
ऑल कृष्णा's ग्रेस. थैंक यू सो मच.
you. Yes, you are the synonymous to Krishna only. हम लोग आपको कृष्ण ही मानते हैं हमारे ग्रुप के.
सोचो पूरे वृंदावन, the entire Vrindavan is singing कि राधे राधे श्याम से मिला दे. I mean, can you believe it?
नितिन जी
श्याम जी छुप के बैठे हुए हैं आज.
आज मैं लाजवाब हूँ.
नितिन जी,
श्याम जी आज कम बोल पा रहे हैं. हाँ, क्या हुआ?
iPhone G introduced herself. She is
who's that?
Manisha Bhasin ji from Katy, Texas. And she has also mentioned that she has recently joined JK Yoga and Swamiji. And the poem was very, very inspiring for Kavita. That's the message she has sent.
उस पोएम के लिए once more तो बोलना चाहिए था.
And lots of people are sending requests that we want to read it. So please put it on the community portal.
Yes.
Huh? And yeah, just I couldn't mention this, but Swati ji, app bhajan for today, and actually in the temple today there was jhulan for Krishna, Radha Krishna. It was a beautiful event in Sunday satsang as well. So yeah, awesome.
संध्या जी, ये गुरुजी का जो रोल है ना, एक्चुअली एक घास का तिनका था, उसको समुद्र से मिलना था, तो वो जितनी बार जाता था हवा इतनी तेज चलती थी समुद्र की, वो वापस आ जाता था. तो फिर जो है उसको आइडिया आया कि पास में एक नदी जा रही है, वो समुद्र से मिल रही है, उसका रास्ता वही है जो उस घास को जाना था. तो घास का तिनका नदी के साथ घुस गया, उसके साथ मिल गया और वो समुद्र तक पहुंच गया. तो गुरुजी का जो रोल है वो यही है.
Wow. Very
और
beautiful.
नदी को ट्रैवल करने में जितनी डिफिकल्टी आई उतनी घास को भी आई. ऊपर से नीचे, नीचे से ऊपर, पहाड़ पर्वत, जो भी कंस्ट्रेंट आए वो सारे झेले. और दिस इज द मॉरल ऑफ द स्टोरी. राधे राधे.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Ati. Good. Good to have a good talk all together for probably the first time you're doing that, right? Very nice, Shyamji. See, it's your special.
Thank you so much for all the effort, Sandhya, Nitin bhai.
Still no
I'm
effort,
really
Shyamji.
blessed to be part of this group. Thank you so much.
श्याम जी मथुरा से बाहर निकलिए, यूएस तक पहुंच गए. आपकी आवाज, आपके भक्त यूएस में है, आप कैसे वहां तक पहुंचोगे या भक्त आपके पास कैसे पहुंचेंगे, ये एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या है. चैलेंज है, नॉट चैलेंज. इट्स अ चैलेंज फॉर एवरीबॉडी.
तो जी पूरा करके अजीत भाई, चिंता मत कीजिए. हम
Yes.
लोग